Hey everyone, my name is Gage Clow, and I'm a student of Global Health and Biology at Arizona State University. I'm going to be talking a little bit today about HIV testing and what you can do to protect yourself, protect others by getting tested today. So starting out, HIV stands for Human Immunodeficiency Virus, which is just a basically fancy way of saying that HIV attacks our body's ability to fight off infection. So that could be anything like a bacterial infection or a virus. It just impacts our immune system's ability to properly recover our bodies from any kind of trauma like that. So that being said, HIV has no real cure in the modern medical sphere. But there is great treatment available for people who are HIV positive, and this can only really be accessed through testing. A person's treatment can be accessed as long as they are HIV positive on an HIV test. So the reason it's so important to get tested as well is because it is impossible to tell whether or not someone is HIV positive without a positive test. This is because HIV has no real symptoms other than an acute infection about 3 weeks after initial exposure that basically just presents like the flu or the flu virus. So knowing that, it kind of makes sense as to why an HIV test is necessary, because it appears as though it's just a simple run of the flu at the beginning, and after that, a person is asymptomatic for years. So, let's talk a little bit about the actual testing process itself. Now, 3 things to keep in mind about testing is that it is fast, it is free, and it is confidential. So, basically, there's no reason not to do it to begin with. HIV tests take about 20 minutes to develop. They are often free or low cost, depending on your community. And the information shared between you and the tester, usually the doctor, is not able to be shared legally. So, there's no reason not to protect yourself, protect others, and get tested today for HIV. So I'm going to talk a little bit about, as well, how the test works. So, an HIV test detects antibodies to the virus within your body. So you might be thinking, antibodies? How is my body not being able to fight off this virus? And the easy answer to that is that the virus is able to sort of circumvent antibodies through mutations. So the best way to test for HIV is to test for antibodies, because it's actually really difficult and expensive to test for the actual virus in the blood. So you use blood or saliva for the antibody test, and there are at-home tests available for people who don't necessarily want to go to the doctor, but it is recommended that a person gets tested at a testing center because follow-up care is then provided. A test can have 2 or 3 outcomes depending on what exactly is going on with your body. HIV tests can test positive, and that would mean that a person has HIV antibodies within their body, and that it is very likely that they have the HIV virus within them. Now, the easiest test that we have available does often test positive, or does test relatively often positive on people who might be negative, and that's just because of the fact that sometimes there are antibodies present in the blood that aren't for HIV but do present in the test. If a person tests positive on an HIV test, they are then treated to proper care and post-encounter counseling to allow them to access the great treatment that I was talking about earlier that they might need. A person could test negative on an HIV test, And that basically means that there are no HIV antibodies present in the blood, but it's still possible that the virus is in you if you've been exposed within the last 3 weeks, as the body takes about 3 weeks to provide a proper antibody response. And a test can also strike as indeterminate, which basically just means that it wasn't really clear on the test whether or not you were HIV positive or HIV negative. So that just means that a person should get retested, and that will often result in an either positive or negative. So one thing to note with a negative and an indeterminate test is that a person should avoid any further exposures or encounters with the virus or any risks of exposure for 3 months while they wait to get a follow-up test to make sure that the test didn't miss any possible antibodies. So now I hope you can see that a person can definitely improve their life by getting tested for HIV. You can protect yourself, you can protect others by getting tested for HIV today. And that's really the point that I want to drive home. So, I'm just going to quickly say it again. You can protect yourself, and you can protect others by getting tested for HIV today. Thank you for listening, and have a good day.